Like, I would want to rent a pony and make all my friends come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. It's whatever it is. I just really have never weekday, doesn't really matter. I've never really been into like my birthday, so it doesn't
Okay,
really.
but we here at the Mark Order are very excited that you were born.
Well, thank you.
So we are going to take a moment to
Okay.
celebrate the man, the myth, the legend that is AntMoney. I was very nervous that you were going to end up divorced on your birthday because we did get a dreamy Christian Cage tonight. And I thought, oh no, this is a terrible way for Ant's birthday to kick off with his wife leaving him for Christian right here, right now. But it turned out all right.
Yeah, so far she didn't see it yet,
Yeah,
but
that's true. We'll see what happens.
you know, well, we should. It is the Mark Order podcast. We didn't do a proper
Yes.
intro. It's the Mark Order podcast. Um, here on Wednesday night, episode 65.
Which means in a month from now, Ant, you know what episode it's gonna be?
Oh, we're gonna count this down like MJF's contract.
Yeah. Or it's gonna be like the Cody clock.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, yes. In a few short weeks, it'll be episode Hubba Hubba. It'll be a very
Nice.
sexy episode of the Mark Order podcast that night.
We may need to employ our in-house voiceover artist or something for that because she delivered on Tip of the Schlong and on all of our Mark Order promos that we had going into the launch of the show. So I don't know, we might have to figure out something with our favorite in-house voiceover artist.
Yeah, we can definitely make that happen.
Yeah,
Even though
now
she'll
there's
be like,
people
"This
in
is
the
gross."
chat.
That's
People in the
fine.
chat. It's AntMoney's birthday.
I don't care. We're not
It's a
stroking
party.
egos tonight. So we should let everybody know. Even like I said, Kate did say it is my birthday.
Woo! Happy
I don't necessarily care,
birthday!
but I do now see where I rank. Matt's never here, so that's fine. But Schlong clearly doesn't give a fuck,
Shout
and
out.
Kate's here.
Oh, you know
So
what? I'll wish you happy birthday from them.
no, no, no,
Hope
no,
hope
nope.
you had a nice birthday celebration at home.
That
And
hey.
oh, come on, Aunt. What the fuck are we doing? Not celebrating your birthday. I
You're
got
not
you some
yelling loud enough.
figures. I know, I'm at my parents' house. I'm trying to be respectful.
You're yelling pretty loud. I know you're your parents. I can just tell from the background, but like you are definitely yelling fuck louder than I would if I were in my parents' house.
I they've kind of grown an immunity to it, I think, because I do so many podcasts that they're just like, and now it's time for Kate to go off into her hole where she talks about wrestling at all sorts of volumes and weird voices.
They didn't put you in the basement yet?
They didn't yet. This house thankfully has some room. The last house they were in, I think I would have had to broadcast from the shed. It would not have worked out well. It was a very, very small house.
You know,
Agent Joe says, "Happy birthday, you fucking hand job."
yes, read in Matt voice. Although you were a little high for Matt voice, but I get it. I get it.
There's only one millionaire.
So it's just see, this isn't the Two Live crew of the Mark Order podcast. What is this?
I don't know.
I don't know if we've had this pairing very often, Kate.
No, I think I could count. There was once before Schlong ever joined, I think.
Yes.
And I don't think since, because when he was, I think the last time he was out was like for a Flyers game and Matt was in. So it's been a minute since it was just you and me, pal.
Well, I guess let's call us the professional the A team of professional broadcasters on the Mark Order podcast. We can say that. This is the A team of the A show on the Shining Wizards Network for now.
I love that. It's true.
So Kate,
we're like Brian Myers, the most professional wrestling broadcasters.
I guess.
That's a
you
gimmick.
Want to compare us to Myers? Are you kind of stealing Kevin's gimmick there a little bit?
No, I'm not in love with him, so it's a little different. I mentioned him like once. I won't mention him 97 other times throughout this broadcast and ring a bell to stroke my own ego. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm with you there. Yeah, I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, I'm not going to see them live in like 2 days from now or anything. I'm not like indoctrinated into the major figure podcast world.
Kate, I'm gonna have to. We're changing this pairing. And Rob Humphrey nailed it. We didn't even think about it. This is the pillars of the Mark Order podcast
Oh
here on a
my
Wednesday night.
goodness.
The
We are
pillars.
the pillars. I love that.
Thank you, Rob Humphrey.
Makes me feel good on your birthday that we still get to imply that you're a young and rising talent. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, I'm young at heart, I guess. I mean,
You
I'm not
are.
like 60.
No, you're not like old man
not...
Tony old or anything like that.
Oh my god, if I was Tony old, I'd be half dead at this point. I mean,
you'd be like 3/4.
I'd already be in bed. I'd be doing this from the comfort of my Tempur-Pedic, or not Tempur-Pedic, the fucking bed that goes up and down. What is that? Sleep? Not the sleep number.
Yeah, sleep number. Yeah. You set your sleep number, right?
No. The ones I'm talking about that actually raise up and down.
Oh my gosh, what are those called?
I don't know. But thanks, William Villanueva. I'm young and virile. Thank you.
You are. Tony is like 90. You're right, Mike Peterson. Yeah. He's in his robe right now.
He may every once in a while he pops in this chat and he's like, "You fucking kids, shut up! I'm trying to go to sleep."
Where the fuck is Matt? Usually it's that.
Yeah. No Matt again. Whatever.
You know what? I appreciate that he's trying to study and learn from the better show, though. You know what I mean? It's good to see.
Any tips he can pick up, that's what he's gonna do.
But
he's so goddamn old. You know what I think Tony really loves?
What? Applesauce for his teeth.
Drinking out of hoses.
Out of hoses?
You know, like the boomers.
Like they do.
When I was young, we used to drink straight out of a hose.
He likes walking 6 miles to home just to prove it.
That's right. I walked uphill to school both ways.
That's right.
In snow with no shoes.
If he was visiting Ryan, he would be drinking from a hose at his home.
That's right. Drinking out of a hose. Maybe he'll enjoy a nice Coke.
A Coca-Cola?
Yeah, a Coca-Cola and a hoagie. Down at Rehoboth. I'm just going to come up with O words.
Oh, it's the best.
What's good, Kate? What's going on?
Just living the dream, man. You know, you always visualize like in your mid-30s being at your parents' house, living there because your landlord took 6 months to get off his ass and repair your apartment. So just living the dream. But very thankful that A, I like my parents, and B, to be at their lovely home. It does feel like a little bit of a retreat. So, and then this weekend I'm going into the city to visit my sister, and I'm going to go to Stokely's comedy show. So I'm excited.
Stokely's comedy show, my goodness.
Any other AEW marks are going to be there. I know somebody already got it to me about it, but
do me a favor when you're there.
What's that?
If you get to run into Stokely, tell him to make Sonny Kiss a fucking member of that Baddies Club.
This is like my quest in life right now.
I mean, if
Sonny Kiss for
Red
Baddies.
Velvet is hurt, we'll get to that.
Yes.
Put goddamn Sonny Kiss in.
There's no bigger baddie.
No bigger. The baddie with the best ass, Sonny Kiss.
The best ass in wrestling, like hands down.
I would put in the world at this point.
I need one of those TikTok dances with Sonny, Jade, Kira, Velvet, Stokely. 100%.
Oh, man.
Like in a V formation, and Stokely's obviously at the front.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why would you bury that in the back? Well, that sounds like a fun weekend, Kate.
Yeah, what about you?
I don't have anything planned for the weekend.
Well, you got something planned for the following. Oh, wait, no. That's this weekend. What am I saying? You've got
I'm fucking
the road trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, I guess I'll be at the Forbidden Door Sunday.
Hell to the yeah. When do you leave?
Tomorrow evening.
Oh my gosh. And do you actually get to take off from work? Like, are you actually off? Or is it
Friday,
like,
yes.
okay.
And Monday, so I can get back.
That's good.
So here was the whole thing. It was like, I don't know if I'm flying. I didn't know if I was flying or if I was driving. So I don't know what we're calling anymore. I think he's going by Danny Magic.
Danny Magic, yeah. That sounds good to me.
So Danny Magic and Tall J were driving out. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do with the work schedule. I got some stuff coming up. I got to take some extra time off. Like, I just don't know if I'm going to have the ability to take like 3 days off for this. So I was like, I'll let you know. And I let them know yesterday what I was doing. So,
which was in fact going with them.
yes. Well, here's the thing is I was like, maybe I'll fly out on Thursday evening.
Sure.
And I'll have Joe Walsh in Indiana pick me up, and I'll get to hang out with him for like an extra day. But when I looked at all the flights where I'd have to go, the latest flight was like at 4:40 in the afternoon. So then I'd really have to take a day off from work.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's not going to work. And then yesterday it was like, hey, if you're driving with us, be here at 3:30. And I was like, well, then I guess I'm flying Friday morning. And it was like, well, what time can you be here? And I was like, 5:00. I got to work. I was 5:00. And they were like, cool, that's fine. So I'm driving, and I'm kind of glad because the airports I would have had to go out of LaGuardia. That's why I literally would have had to leave. I would have had to leave work at 12:00 tomorrow.
You're not even like saving that much time of the trip by going to LaGuardia.
But if I went out of Newark, I would have had to lay over in Detroit. I'd have to pass where I was going to go back.
Weird. It's so weird. Chicago and Indianapolis, I feel like sometimes I get the weirdest like routes where I'm like, I know this makes sense to somebody in the airline industry, but it does not make sense as a flyer.
Yeah, no, not at all. So that settled itself pretty quickly. So yes, making the trip.
Gotta get control of the tunes early. Gotta get
apparently that's not happening. Did we talk about this last week? What I was told about the car?
I don't think so.
I was told that Danny Magic and Tall J were taking suggestions for a playlist.
Now that I saw on the old Instagram of Danny Magic himself.
Yeah.
Like suggestions.
Well, everything's going onto a playlist, and apparently it's all getting played, no skips. And I said I will have on my headphones.
Wise call.
And then I was told no headphones allowed. And I said
that part we did talk about.
I said I'd like to see you take them from me. And then I even floated out to Danny Magic, why don't you just sit in the back with me the whole ride and we can get chauffeured to
there you go.
To Chicago. So what we're doing is we are staying over tomorrow in, I think, Youngstown, Ohio. And then making the trip the rest of the way out on Friday. And then Monday, waking up and doing the whole drive in one day.
That is long, but like makes sense. Like just get back home.
Gotta happen.
I feel that.
Gotta happen.
Did you
I do like this from Asian Joe, though, by the way. I'm envisioning when the Muppets go on a road trip. Yes. Much like in the Muppet movie. Yep. Yeah. I just wish we were in a Winnebago.
It's true. It's true. And that you were with Kermit and Fozzie instead of your brother. Yeah. No offense to Danny, but like top choice, Fozzie Bear and Kermit. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, any day of the week.
Waka waka.
All right. Maybe I'm going to second guess that one. It would be like driving with you and or Ryan the whole trip.
I know you should be very thankful that for your birthday, you only get one person with terrible puns. Oof. That's actually a gift,
and
my friend.
Hopefully less singing too.
I know. Moderately, at least.
Although you did just sing Moving Right Along.
But it was called for. I didn't go out of my way to manufacture that. Like it came up organically. Did you get any gifts for your birthday?
I did.
Did Sergio buy you anything?
Nothing from Sergio, that fuck. But I did. Mrs. Money gave me some snacks.
Ooh.
Which I always appreciate because I never have any snacks in like my office, and now I'll have
Now
something
you're
to snack
stocked
on.
out. I like
Yeah.
it.
I got some
What'd she bring to the table? What heat did she bring snacks wise?
I know this is something that people are gonna be like, really? But I do love these seaweed snacks. These just like
Ooh,
papers
okay.
of seaweed.
All right.
And wasabi peas.
Really? All right.
Love a good wasabi pea.
There you go.
And on Father's Day, she gave me like a giant bag of like beef jerky too. And these are the bomb. Wiley
That
Wallaby.
shit's so good.
But I've never had watermelon. These are awesome.
Yeah. I had them only once, but they were very good.
They're so good. And then she gave me some other candy. Like some dark chocolate, acai blueberry chocolate.
Nice. She
which
goes
is
for
good.
some top shelf choices there.
Yeah, she does it right. So I got some snacks. And then what did I get back? So back, which hand is it? This one. So this right here. Baby A got me this, and it's like a Ghostbusters bobblehead thing. It's the little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man fucking around with like a rocket, a little like
nice.
firework rocket.
Okay.
I got that. Mrs. Money got me Metroid Dark, whatever the one is for the Switch, because we just got
Metroid Dark Elevation or just regular Metroid
just
Dark?
regular Dark. Yeah, just regular Metroid Dark. Got me that, which is pretty awesome because all the games we have aren't really games that I'm like into. Like, yeah, Kirby's cool, but like I'm not gonna sit and play Kirby for a while.
Sure.
So the Metroid was something I definitely want to check out. So she hit me up with that. And then Nana, that's what Baby A calls Gina's mom. Nana got me like a little mini personal fan. She was like, I was looking for the one you wear around your neck, but they got recalled, so I got you this one. And I was like, this is perfect. So she got me one of those things, and then she got me like a whole bunch of stuff by Duke Cannon, which they make like soap and stuff like that.
Okay.
She got me like the cooling wipes, so like like some other company that makes ball wipes only. These are like wipes for your whole body, not everything. Just your balls.
They don't sponsor us anymore. You can bury them all you want.
Well, that's why I'm not going to say their name. Why am I going to give them the plug?
No, I'm just saying,
I'd rather plug Duke Cannon. They don't pay us anything, and the product's fantastic. But maybe they'll sponsor us one day.
Yet. So
she got me those like cleansing wipes, the cooling wipes and stuff like that. Those are definitely going in my bag for the weekend.
Hell
and
yeah.
She also got me like this like beard oil and beard balm, and they make these giant bars of soap that last forever. So she got that, came in the pack too, and it's all Buffalo Trace, like whiskey or bourbon scented. It's really fantastic.
Very cool. Could she perhaps provide that for other wrestling fans? Because you're not the wrestling fan that needs that stuff as much as some other wrestling fans that we have seen in the wild.
Yeah, especially Nacho Ass that was in front of us at Ring of Honor.
I think it was Fritos. But
okay, sorry.
Disgusting.
Yeah, still,
It's like he smells like farts and Fritos. It was gross.
I'm being corrected in the chat, by the way. It's Metroid Dread. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
That
Metroid
takes away
Dread.
my dark elevation pun.
It's okay. It's okay. I like yours better, Kate. But
thank you.
So the marks know I saw what they're talking about. So yeah, it was a good birthday. Like I said, I worked, but had a nice evening. Watched wrestling, and Mrs. Money got me some Chinese takeout for my birthday.
What was your Chinese go-to?
It's usually right around the same thing, but some dumplings, some steamed dumplings.
Ooh, okay, very nice.
Some boneless spare ribs. Some sesame chicken.
Yes.
So pretty standard stuff.
Well played.
I do okay.
A nice smorgasbord of Chinese food.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We like it.
Yeah.
Well,
so it was a good night,
bud.
And now I'm here, and Kate, you're the only real one.
And the only
I
one
mean,
that
everybody in
wasn't
the chat too, but you know, the other people aren't here. We're just here with the
we're
pillars.
the pillars.
That's right. We keep it going. So yeah. And then as we were sitting watching Dynamite, just so you know, Mrs. Money was away. She had to go to New York for work. What's today? Wednesday, yesterday. So she went yesterday. She was around Monday, but I had to work I had to work Monday, and I worked a little bit late because I knew it was going to be out Friday. So, the question I got was, "Are we watching Elevation on Monday?" And I said, "No, I didn't plan on it." And she said, "Well, I am." So I said, "Okay." So I knew what that was. And then last night she wasn't around, and she left her phone home.
Oh God!
So
Did you think the PC police came and arrested her?
I mean, I just heard buzzing all night off for the things on her phone, and I think it was just Tony Nese all night, but I didn't look.
Blowing her, just blowing her up. Like, hey, girl.
Yeah, you up? And I was like, what
WYD. What you doing?
No, she left her phone home. Oh, yeah. So she left her phone home. So I said to her, I talked to her. She had her mom's phone. She borrowed her mom's phone when she went to the train. Her mom dropped her off, and I said, are you? I just saw something on Instagram or something. I said, "Are you watching Dark tonight?" Because she was in her hotel, and she said, "No. Should I be?" And I said, "Well, if I'm asking, you should probably know."
Yeah.
But she didn't. So she did sit on the couch tonight during Dynamite and caught up on her Dark. So
nice.
She didn't see GQ Christian, but she did catch up on her niece.
It's the yet that you should be concerned about.
I told her, because she said, "What happened while I was gone?" I was like, "Well, Christian explained everything." And she was like, "Oh, was it good?" And I said, "You can watch it, but I wish you wouldn't."
He looked good. He was very GQ, and I loved his promo. Hell of a heel turn for him.
We'll talk about it. We'll go in deep on it.
Yes, we will. Just like Christian's gonna go in deep on your let's talk about.
Now, I didn't watch any of the Dark or Dark Elevation because right now we don't really cover it here. But I will say this, Kate. I saw your boys were on Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. I didn't know. Is Pretty Peter Avalon's like just doing appearances and stuff like that now, right? He's not under full contract.
But I don't think so. Yeah, shots. I think he's under an appearance-based deal, I think. But it's just nice to see. I loved the Wingmen. I thought they were real fun. So, yeah, I was glad to see that he and Cesar Bononi were working. But you guys know how I feel about Peter Avalon. He's still my heart.
Well, how do you feel about him?
I want to fuck Peter Avalon.
25-minute mark. Got it.
There you go. And free of any other context.
Hold on.
Happy birthday to you. I want to fuck Peter Avalon. Twice. There you go. You can decide what take you like better. Happy birthday, buddy.
25-20.
And if Ryan were here, he'd say Kate wants to take her home. Take him home.
Yeah, Kate needs to take home Pretty Peter Avalon. Anyway.
Do you prefer American cheese or do you prefer
provolone? Oh, provolone on my hoagies. For sure.
It's so much better when Ryan's not here. What?
No, you're not wrong.
So I'm not schlong.
Oh no. Come on, don't do this. Don't do this to the pillars. Kyle K. Sparks just put something into the chat. He asked if we can manually mark clip points in the recording while it's happening. I haven't figured out how to do that. If it's a possibility, doesn't look like I can at the moment. So I'm not going to fuck around with this. I don't think
so, yeah. I think you can go back and mark on the YouTube recording after, but not while it's happening.
I'm not fucking around with that. I don't have enough time to do the things I need to do.
It's true.
You know what, Kate? We're the pillars.
We are the pillars.
Let me break down a wall.
Break the walls down.
I've got t-shirts raring to go.
You do?
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I haven't had the time to fucking send them along and be like, here you go, Marks. Get a t-shirt. See, you like how
you fucking Mark.
See, you like that? I'm being the asshole boyfriend.
I do like it.
You like that? It's my heel turn.
I like it.
Here you go, you goddamn Marks. Buy a fucking shirt. But I just haven't had the time to do it yet. Basically because I can't find a fucking format. Nobody gives us you one goddamn format on that website.
I don't know, Marks. Maybe get some stickers.
Yeah. Fucking Marks want some stickers. That won't even cost you anything. I'm fucking footing the bill. Kate makes you think you're paying for it. I'm footing the bill because I'm AntMoney.
See? This is why, though, it's important to have me around, because otherwise you would go giving away stuff for free. I want to go to the pay window on the shipping and handling.
No.
I do appreciate that Asian Joe called me out for wearing my Dan Barry shirt, who I am very much for real engaged to. Also because of a fuck, marry, kill incident. I'm not cheating on Dan yet. But if Peter Avalon is listening or watching,
hey,
anything could change, buddy.
Sorry, Kate. I don't care about your. I don't care about your
extremely real engagement.
Yeah, no. Here's a nice note, because remember how a couple weeks ago I said, "Hey, I've been slow to get these out, but there was an Irish address that came through, and I am not sure." If they ever got there, because it was something weird. It was like name at like Town Square Fountain, Dublin, Ireland, or wherever it was. Dublin, Cork County, Ireland, whatever. I do have to say, we just got word in the chat here. I can confirm. The stickers have arrived. Thank you kindly, and gave you a shout out on the gram. Oh, that is great to hear.
Thank you.
Can confirm with all the handling and packaging and a long flight over the Atlantic Ocean, it was free.
Nobody will protect the business anymore, Ant.
We are officially international.
We are. That's very exciting.
I'm glad the stickers arrived to Ireland. I really was like, fuck, I don't even know if this is real.
Yeah. You're like, I hope it gets there.
Sending them out. Anyway, so Kate, let's chat a little bit about wrestling in the first hour.
Weird, but let's do it. It's your birthday.
Yeah. You know what? Can we keep this under 2 hours tonight? No, that just cursed it. We're going to go 4.5 hours.
Yep.
So I was traveling last weekend, but I did get a chance to see Rampage. Did you get a chance to see any Rampage here?
I sure did.
Well, of course you did. I forgot. You cover it.
I don't assume that everybody that watches this watches all the other shit I do.
No, but I shouldn't even ask. I should be like, Kate, you saw Rampage, because
I sure did.
No, you cover it every week. This is the first time it hits me. What an idiot I am.
Please don't talk about my older and wiser friend like that. That's just rude. Okay?
I'm sorry. I forgot.
He is a pillar of this podcast. If
what?
we're being completely honest, he's kind of the pillar of this podcast.
Sometimes I feel like there's cracks in this pillar, but you know what?
Oh.
Not tonight.
Oh.
So yes, you saw Rampage. Now I can tell you this: all everybody said was massively low ratings. I don't think it matters. You need to. This actually has been a pretty good show over the last month, right?
Yes.
Like I feel like they've had quality matches. So if you're not checking out Dark, you should at least DVR it or check it out after the fact, because they've had some really nice matches.
It was like 330 or something, though. It was like outstandingly low, considering there wasn't really any competition. But I think a lot of people tuned into SmackDown to see what Vince had to say, and he said nothing, and a lot of people turned off their televisions and didn't turn them back on.
Sure. And also, let's also not forget, it was like Father's Day weekend.
Yeah.
There was other stuff going on where people...
I feel like a lot of people DVR it, but I would like to see them move from that slot whenever that's a possibility, because it is.
Yeah.
I think you're way better off running 7 to 8 or even 7:30 to 8:30. Like, I don't think that many people give a crap about the first half hour of SmackDown, to be honest.
7:05 to 8:05.
Perfect. Beautiful. Get that overrun in.
Why not?
I'm in. So.
It was a good show though. We did get John Moxley and Dante Martin. Moxley,
That was a
of course,
fantastic
won.
match. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great match. A lot of fun, and man, it just really just continues to show how Dante Martin is just such a young talent. Like,
yeah,
he just continues to sort of rise to the occasion when he's put in these spots. And it also makes me at the same time feel really not upset, but like, man, it's gotta suck if you're Darius. Like,
oh yeah,
you get hurt.
There's no way that doesn't suck.
No, you get hurt. Your brother takes off. You come back. Now you're hurt again. And I think the last I saw the rumor mill saying is there's a chance he doesn't come back in 2022. Like,
yeah, it was like over a year, I think. And I think that was from a car accident, which is also just like really rough. Like, it wasn't even a wrestling related injury. So I can't imagine just as a person being unable to do stuff for that long. Like, that would just suck for a regular person, never mind an athlete, to be shelved like that. So that must stink. But yeah, Mox and Dante was a ton of fun. Like, the amount of hang time he gets on anything air is just so insane. But yeah, that was a really fun opener.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that anybody thought Dante Martin was going to win this match, kind of going to Forbidden Door. But man, he just shows up in these big spots and puts on a show. So that was a lot of fun. We saw Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland backstage get interviewed. Keith was very upset with Swerve about eliminating him in the Battle Royal, and then Hobbs and Starks rolled up to talk shit. So again, more things that aren't kind of settled there. But it's very interesting to see how they're sort of playing this Swerve and Keith Lee angle, because it's like Swerve isn't really all in heel on the surface. I mean, his actions in that match certainly were, but I don't know where they're going with this. I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do, if they're just going to have him straight heel turn, or if he's going to sort of play both sides of the fence here, and this is going to be his character for the long run, where it's like, when he needs to be a heel, he's going to be a heel, and you're going to deal with it, and he'll be a face like when he needs to be a face in those matches. It's intriguing because I don't know what way they're going with this.
There is part of me that thought maybe they didn't know what way they wanted to go with this after everything that happened with the Hardys. Like, maybe they didn't want to lose this tag team after it looks like the Hardys are obviously not going to have their run or be around to compete in high profile matches for a little bit. So maybe they wanted to keep him around. I really liked that he explained his actions. I thought that was just a very nice, reasonable thing to do. And I think they got interrupted by Starks and Hobbs, and I'm totally fine with them running that back if they did want to keep this together. But there's a whole other title now too for people to fight over. So I think that's really fun. But my gut instinct was I think because maybe the Hardys aren't around, they were a real fun tag team. Maybe we don't want to split them up yet, but that whole tag division's an embarrassment of riches, and they are proven single stars on their own. I don't think there's a wrong move in that scenario. It's just whatever they want to set up next.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good, I didn't even think of that possibility, Kate. Maybe they're just sort of backpedaling this angle a little bit because they're going to need some people to fill in. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of wiggle out of that, if they're changing direction or if they're not, just what Swerve's character is going to be moving forward. So a lot of fun intrigue there.
He has the cool factor to be able to pull off that kind of in both worlds thing, I feel really, really well.
Yeah, no, I agree. He does, have the personality to be either, like I said, he can just be whatever. I mean, he doesn't even really have to fully turn. If he can do heelish stuff and just be like, what? It's
I think he's just so comfortable because it's his house. So it's just
you're right.
I think it's I'm just cozy at home. You know what I mean?
He's like, you know what? I'm going to kick my shoes off.
Yeah.
I'm going to let my dogs are barking. I'm going to let them breathe.
Let them breathe a little bit. Yeah.
And I'm just going to, settle in wherever I am.
Let it rock and roll.
We did get a Max Caster rap because him and the Ass Boys went up against Bear Country and Leon Ruffin. is worth noting that he talked about the January 6th Capitol riot and joked about being forced to sign an NDA.
Yes.
So
which
that's
felt
good.
like not the teeth that I wanted from that situation, but what was network appropriate. That certainly felt like it was well done.
Those who know about it were very in on it.
Yes.
And of course, I always enjoy seeing Bowens in the wheelchair. Shout everybody out and say, "Scissor me ass, daddy."
So good.
Love it. Loved seeing Bear Country, but not for like 2 seconds. So that was sort of disappointing. But like, did we think that the Bear Country and Leon Ruffin were going to win this match? No.
Didn't think they were going to win this. If anything that was on the show felt like it was more of like an AEW dark match to me, because they didn't really let Bear Country or Leon Ruff, who is a notable enough talent that he should have gotten some offense in instead of being the guy that got smushed into the ground. But
yes.
Yeah, this was just like, and I think they've started editing Rampage a little bit more. I'm wondering if there were some spots that got edited from this match, but I find in general Rampage is mostly predictable like this, but really solid matches. This was kind of neither, or this was like predictable and not that great of a match. So felt like it could have been dark, but nothing wrong with it. Just not what they could have done with this TV time.
Yeah, it's just putting the ass boys on TV, putting Max Caster on TV, keeping oh my god, Bowen's involved a little bit. Sorry. Yes. I'm old. My brain doesn't work well anymore.
It's okay. You're not Tony old. Be nice to yourself.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm not Tony old. Thanks.
I am right.
We did get a Hook interview backstage. He didn't say much, but then Danhausen teased that he will destroy a New Japan prospect on Rampage next week. They did line that up tonight. So we'll get Hook this week going against the DKC. Was that it? DKC?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember if it was OKC, but I was like, no, it's not Oklahoma City.
It's also not the DKC. DNC, which is what
That's
I
right.
said.
That's right. So that should be fun.
Should be fun.
And then we got what was my match of the night. It was Jade Cargill and Willow Nightingale. I didn't think Willow was going to win this match, but
no. I thought
Jade
this
retained.
Was a better match for Jade, though, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just another really nice showing for Willow on AEW television, right? Like, I mean, she hasn't been winning these profile matches, but every time she's on television, she looks great.
Yeah, and huge reactions from the crowd. I've always felt like Jade is nervous, which is actually a good thing, about hurting smaller opponents. I think that's why her and Chris had a little bit better of a match. And so to have someone of Willow's strength and size in the ring with her, I felt like she felt way more comfortable. Willow looked great. I thought Jade looked better for what Jade's able to do. Stokely saying he was going to bring the title to the BET Awards was super fun.
Yes.
I think it's good. It doesn't look like he's in concussion protocol from the slap on the head that Kristen Highlander gave him. So glad he's okay in that regard. But this was just a ton of fun. Like, to me, this is kind of what's the beauty of Rampage. Like, I always feel like that show's on a field trip. I say it all the time. Like, that's really fun to me to have stuff like that happening. And I always love seeing Willow on my television. She's such a blast. And I just love seeing her get the reaction she's getting, because if she's not already signed and waiting to be revealed in ROH, like, it certainly seems that they're at least leaning in that direction, because now she's not just like doing squash matches or on Dark or anything. Like, she's getting TV time now more than some of the women that have been in the division. So very, very good to see that. And I agree with you. I thought this match was actually really well executed and also well agented to play to Jade's strengths. I thought it was a very well produced match.
Yeah, the match was a lot of fun. And then, as you said, sort of like the after effects of the match, Kiera Hogan attacks Willow. Athena makes the save. Jade gets a hold of Athena. And then Kristen Highlander, comes down to make the save, smack Stoke in the back of the head. So what's great too, and the reason I even bring that all up is because they are clearly advancing this story, and Rampage is a vehicle to advance this story. So if you're not catching what's happening on Rampage, some of these stories are sort of getting missed, especially because it came up during Dynamite tonight. And we'll talk about it when we get to Dynamite, but it's just nice to see that this isn't just a show of random matches, right? It's not
Right.
Saturday morning superstars. It's actually part of the canon, right? Like all of this stuff makes sense.
And if it doesn't advance the stories like in a development way, it at least keeps them moving along. Like there's very rarely throwaway matches. And if something major doesn't happen, it at least keeps like things advancing in a way where it's like you might not have missed anything, but you do want to see it
Right. Of course.
as a part of the story. And also I think the O face or whatever Athena does, she's looked great since she's come in, and I really liked her just hitting that one move after. Like I feel like she looks like she was in really good condition and she's moving really well. The time off I feel like that she took between her release and now I think has paid off. I think she's just healed up her body. I think she's moving better than she was for the end of her NXT reign. So just nice to see that. And I think she's going to be a huge asset to the division. And honest to God, just like when have we gotten long-term women's stories outside of like Deeb and Sheeta? And we got some stuff with Nyla and Britt and Thunder Rosa, but that's like 3 in 3 years, right? So it's also nice just to see like a stable in the women's division building out a long-term story. We just don't get it in the women's division. So it's nice to have something to look forward to in that regard as well.
We also got to see Satnam Singh, Jay Lethal, and Sanjay Dutt again advancing their story going on with Samoa Joe. So again, this is just, we're not seeing them in action, but we're advancing the story here. So using this to do that, nice touch. And then it was into the main event, Darby Allin and Bobby Fish in the main event. And Darby Allin winds up defeating Bobby Fish. Post-match, Fish calls for O'Reilly for a beatdown on Darby. But the lights go out and Sting is there when the lights come back up. So Sting is back in action. He's able to get Kyle O'Reilly below the belt with the baseball bat and then, kicks the baseball bat as well. So O'Reilly's down, but they're able to get the chair on Bobby Fish and they Pillmanize his leg with a coffin drop. So Sting's back. Fish's leg could be broken now. That's the story. And Kyle O'Reilly is holding his nuts in pain. So what a way to go off the air for Rampage. And again, that main event was a lot of fun. I think Bobby Fish doesn't get the credit he deserves because of what his record looks like, right? Like he takes a lot of losses. But man, he's a good in-ring wrestler, and he makes people look really good. And Darby normally looks pretty good, but I mean, this was a lot of fun, and Bobby Fish really helped us get to the finish line here. So I thought it was a fun main event and a pretty fun episode of Rampage.
Agreed. And I think, we saw Kyle O'Reilly like a little slow out of the gate. And then I think he and his wife had a baby and he came back and then like he had that really nice run of 4 or 5 matches and we're getting to see what he can do. This was similar to me for Bobby Fish and they work similar styles. It makes sense that they've been in a tag team or a stable for so much of their careers together. Fish is gonna be there to do things like eat pins and make other people look great. He's 900 years old. And he's going to be involved in some really fun stories with Kyle O'Reilly as well, I think. But you're 100% right. This is classic, collision of ring styles of two people just in very different worlds and how they approach professional wrestling, but being in control of their own styles, making for a really, really fun matchup. And I loved the coffin drop to Pillmanize. I just thought was a super fun spot because that coffin drop always is so simple and looks so great and is a fun way to Pillmanize someone on the leg. Like that's pretty cool and just a fun little program and a fun story that they kind of cooked up out of nowhere with Darby. I think it's been an absolute blast. So definitely a fun way to go home.
And always spots in a match with Darby where I'm like, Darby, why are you doing this?
Yeah, he's one that I'm like, I always try to remind myself that he has been skateboarding for years and years and years, because he's one that I'm like, I feel people sometimes go a little overboard on the like they're gonna die in the ring stuff. But Darby, sometimes I'm like, he's really gonna snap his neck and die in the ring. But
oh my god, I know. I'm like,
nuts.
please, Darby, just your
Take
card
it
only
easy.
has so many bumps.
And the apron spots are the ones that kill me the most. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Words.
Well, Rampage was a lot of fun, and we're leading into Dynamite tonight, which we're going to talk about. We're going to take a little break. So it's worth noting, Kate, we are the A show of the current Shining Wizards Network. I'm sure you're aware of that.
No, God, this is kind of embarrassing.
Okay, so
we're of the network.
Yeah, so we're part of a network. It's called the Shining Wizards Network.
Shining
for the time
Wizards
being.
Network. Okay, yep. The SWN. I'm on it.
Yeah, SWN. For now.
Just gonna make a note.
Yeah,
I don't want to forget this for next week.
Yeah, for sure. So the network is actually named by the B show of the network. We're the A show, so it's the B show.
Given.
Shining Wizards Monday night 7:00 on the Shining Wizards Network. Blah 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 blah.
This is how confident I am in our show. I didn't even know there was a network until like 25 seconds ago, but I know we're the A show of it.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I just know that. So
yeah. So there are other shows that are part. It's a network, right? So there's got to be other content. Were you aware?
I wish I could find out more about them.
Well, Kate, strap in, because we've done this 1,000 times. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to play some words from some other shows that are part of the Shining Wizards Network. All of the words, because that also is something I haven't done. Edit this break. So why don't you strap yourself in, learn a little bit about the PC Police and some other fine programs that are part of the Shining Wizards Network, and then we will be back to talk about Dynamite.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years, but when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantdmradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app, and it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. One on the Shining Wizards Network. Be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fistful of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Rea and the Portuguese man of war Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin,
and Vince,
your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
Did you learn something, Kate? Did you learn about some of the other shows? You're muted. Look at that.
I thought that was the best birthday gift I could give you.
Okay. Well.
I learned about other shows. I learned about pronouns. I learned about a specific group of police that I never even knew existed before.
It's very true.
So
Ryan knows about him because that's where he is tonight. He got arrested by the PC police.
he did. They swept in and they said, "Nuh-uh, my friend."
Well, the other thing I'm going to let people know about is where they could follow us on our socials at MarkOrderPod. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, any of those places. It's on one. All you got to do is hit the link tree in our profile, and you can find all of our other socials. But most importantly, you can support us by clicking that little button that says request your free stickers. And I'll send you out some of these free Mark Order podcast stickers. That's right, version 1 and version 2.
That's right.
And despite what Kate's saying, we can confirm
It's only $3.99 for shipping.
No.
Anywhere in the world, $3.99 American dollars.
No.
Sacks of human money, I say.
No, we don't accept human teeth or human monies, but it's absolutely free, Kate. The stickers are free. The shipping and handling is free. Any charges and taxes are free. All you got to do is you have to click the button in the profile, request your free stickers, give us your name, your full mailing address, and the country you live in, so we're sure we're sending it to the right place, and I will get them out to you with a nice letter of thanks for supporting us.
And
So
can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna get rid of that commercial block or edit it down.
Yep.
And I'm gonna miss them.
Are you?
I'm gonna miss the PC police. Yeah.
Well, the day's coming, Kate, where we're gonna, like you said, we're going to have to do away with the commercials, but that day's not here yet.
It's true, and it better still be around for episode 69.
I mean, even if it's not, we are going to keep it around. For episode 69, sexy episode 69 coming up in
That's all right.
in a few weeks. So that's right. Stay tuned. But Kate, you know what time it is?
Is it rankings time?
You know it. You know it. You follow the format.
What's for your birthday? What's the best way we could go about this?
We're just gonna go through these lists. There's not a whole lot of changes.
You want me to read them?
Please. You know what, Kate?
It's your birthday.
Surprise me.
I'm gonna read them. Hey, your world champion is the one and only CM Pants.
Quote,
currently
unquote.
Injured. We're going to find out who the interim title holder is at Forbidden Door. Your TNT champion is Scorpio Sky. Your number one contender is John Moxley.
Makes sense.
Number 2, the War Dog, Wardlow.
Makes sense.
Not the pig.
Nope.
He proved that. He wants to get the ladies' demographic up. He knows what he's doing over there. All right. He's no Peter Avalon, but he's no slouch either. Number 3, Hangman Adam Page. Number 4, Adam Cole, baby. Number 5, Jay Lethal. Your women's division.
Hey, can I want to actually pause there for a second, because for once, I think these rankings actually sort of make sense. Everybody in that list has been mentioned in some sort of title picture, right?
That is true. That is a very good point.
Moxley's going for this, gunning after that TNT championship. Hangman is, going to be involved in a match at Forbidden Door for a title. Adam Cole's, we found out, going to be involved in a match, and Jay Lethal is looking for that TV title for Ring of Honor. So everybody here isn't actually involved in some sort of high level belt involved match. So I think it kind of makes sense.
It does. That's a very good point. Happy birthday. You get rankings that make sense for your birthday. We love that.
But then we go to the women's we go to the women's division.
Would you like me to read them?
Go ahead.
Sure. We have your AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa. We have your That Bitch Show champion, your TBS title holder, leader of the Baddies, Jade Cargill. Number 1, Tony Storm. Be sure to give your dog a Benadryl because storms will scare them. Okay. Number 2, Nyla Rose, who I don't hate the programming she's involved in. We're going to talk about that later. Number 3, Kristen Highlander. Number 4, the wonderful Serena Deeb. Don't hate what she's doing either. Exciting stuff. And number 5, Dr. Britt Baker. The MD.
Yeah, just these women's kind of rankings are sort of weird, but I'm with you. Like, everybody's involved in something. So
yes, which is refreshing.
At least it makes sense, but it's just, I don't know how they line up to anything. There's only like 2 titles, right? So that's what I think also makes it.
Well, and weird. The ROH title, which is nice to see. Serena Deeb seems to be like tagging a lot with, because I would love to, when TV launches, Serena Deeb, ROH Women's Champion, the things she could do for like a developmental women's division would be incredible. Tony Storm obviously makes sense. Chris Statlander being in there and continuing to rise, I think, is really good. And Britt's always going to be either in there or kicking around. So not bad. Not as logical as the men's, but they have a long way to go before that division makes any sense. So
yeah, and they're just also not chasing as much gold. You know what I mean? Like there is that Ring of Honor title, which I just wish we got to see a little bit more of. But it looks like we're going to see Friday night. We will get to see Mercedes Martinez. So
which rules?
Yeah, it does.
So we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And your tag team rankings, your newly minted tag team champions, the Young Bucks.
2-time.
Your number 1 contenders, the greatest tag team in the world, if you ask me. Soon to be tag team belt collectors a la Kenny Omega, I think. FTR. Number 2, you got Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, which is kind of interesting since Danielson can't wrestle right now. Number 3, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, also getting interesting. We'll talk about that later. Number 4, do you want to do the powerhouse thing? Because I can't do it as well.
Powerhouse.
There it is. We really gotta. We should have gotten you overalls for your birthday. Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks.
I accept like gifts.
We should do that. That would be for real very fun. And number 5, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, assuming that they're staying together. So it's kind of fun because there's a lot of dissension in the teams that are ranked, and like a decent amount of them, but all of that dissension is organic to the story too. I do wish we were seeing more of like the Bear Countries and the private parties, but again, I think ROH is going to like alleviate the balloon of this bloated roster a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that I think they're just in a weird place. We've talked about it a few times. I just think they're in a weird spot with Ring of Honor, like with nothing solidified yet.
Yeah.
Unless there is something that nobody knows about, some sort of deal in place or is being finalized, and then eventually somewhere here in the near term, they're going to have something to go on for Ring of Honor. But who knows? Because again, we see, we'll talk through Dynamite, but there was something that was mentioned about the Ring of Honor TV title. You know what I mean? So,
yes,
we'll talk about it when we get there, but some of the stuff that was said, it's like maybe they don't have anything ready yet because it sounds like they're sort of pivoting.
Yeah, they're like in between a rock and a hard place because I think they have a live event coming up. Like they're still keeping their pay-per-view schedule, it seems like, but they don't have live TV in place. So it's just very like weird and sporadic from what I am able to gather about it. But
yeah,
let's hope that they're at least like on a streaming service or something soon. But those are your AEW Power Rankings for June 22nd, 2022, before the start of the show.
Very true. It was before the start of the show. And boy, what a show leading into Forbidden Door this weekend, because they certainly lined up a number of items for the show. Some things became more clear, other things maybe not so clear, but we certainly, are sort of putting all the right pieces in place. So let's dive right in, Kate. We knew coming into the night we were going to hear from a couple people, and one of them was going to be Bryan Danielson, because he's been injured. There have been dangling, and there have been things out there saying we're going to get Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. But we haven't seen or heard anything from him. So he comes out tonight to lead off, to be interviewed in the ring. And Danielson says he's going to take the mic and not give it back to Shivani in the nicest way possible. And it's a great week to be an AEW fan and to be a professional wrestling fan. He starts to talk up Forbidden Door and then the blood and guts that's lined up for next week's Dynamite. So we can't forget about that too. Pay-per-view Sunday, blood and guts Wednesday. So it's going to be a hell of a week. And he says that Chris Jericho paid Zack Sabre Jr. to challenge him to a match. And he wasn't only excited to prove that he's not the best technical wrestler, not only the best technical wrestler, but he was excited to crush Zack Sabre's trachea, and was excited to get revenge on Jericho and his crew for Anarchy in the Arena. But he's got good news and bad news. And that's where I was like, oh man, it's not a work. The bad news, as Danielson let us know, is because of what Jericho and Hager did to him at Anarchy in the Arena, he is not cleared to compete next week at all. That includes Sunday and Wednesday. But at least but don't be concerned about his overall health. You can tell his mind's at 100% and he can run 2 miles without breaking a sweat. He's going to be back. But he said that's not there's not a man in the world who can wrestle in the ring like he does. And that's not even the good news. The good news is that Eddie Kingston has gone on record to say he's a judge. Bryan Danielson is a judgmental prick. And he says, yeah, you're right, I am. And because of that, he has a really, really high standard. So that when he promises someone something is going to be amazing, it will be amazing. And he said he's found the one person he trusts to take his spot at Forbidden Door and at Blood and Guts. The one person he knows in the entire world who will take it to Zack Sabre Jr. on a technical level and then go kick Chris Jericho's head in. And we're all going to be astounded by what he does in AEW. Who? Well, Danielson says, don't you know I came out of the bad guy tunnel? He's not going to tell us, and he's not going to tell Zack Sabre Jr. either. So you've got to tune in Sunday to find out. And that's when Zack Sabre Jr. shows up on the ramp. He draws at Danielson while the commentary starts to hype up the Forbidden Door. And we move on to the next thing. So Kate, they don't often open with non-wrestling stuff in AEW, but when they do, it's usually something that's big. So again, here, big news, and I think they had to clear it up quick because we've been kind of, this carrot's been dangled in front of us, as we said. We all thought we were going to get, Zack Sabre Jr. and Danielson, a match we definitely all want to see, but it's not going to happen now. And I think the news is obviously like, who's the surprise going to be? So leading off with this, I didn't necessarily have a problem because we have to get all this solidified before the pay-per-view. But what did you think of this? Do you like this? Would you rather of them tell us right off the bat who this is going to be, or do you like them keeping it a secret?
I don't mind them keeping it a secret, especially because I think people kind of outmarked themselves a little bit on what this pay-per-view was going to be. Like, to me, it's just a collision of all stars. It was never going to be like something heavily storytelling driven. And my guess is it's going to be Jonathan Gresham. I feel like that just makes too much sense. I would love to see a story with like the Foundation and the Blackpool Combat Club at some point. But if it's not, I feel like the problem is with Punk being off the market, unless it was ever going to be like Brock Lesnar or John Cena, which it of course isn't for several reasons, like the biggest guy on the market is going to be Cesaro or Gargano, which would both be awesome choices. Like Cesaro in a blood and guts match and a match with Zack Sabre Jr. Like, sign me up any day of the week. Of all the options, a Zack Sabre Jr. match with Gargano might be one of the most appealing to me. But I think it's gonna be Gresham. They tend to like really build these up. And if it's not gonna be Gargano or Cesaro, I feel like people are going to be disappointed. I don't think they should be. I think it's on their like responsibility to control their reactions, but it just would make too much sense in my head for it to be Gresham. Like it just fits the mold so perfectly. I would love for it to be like Lee Moriarty. Like I would love for it to be someone that isn't getting like any shine right now that would put on an incredible match with that. But I think it's Gresham. I think it would be awesome if it was Gargano or Cesaro. But yeah, I don't really have like too heavy of an opinion, but that's because like I'm a Punk girl. Like once that guy came back, there's not going to be anything that's ever going to top that for me. So I'm just happy that they're all having fun at that point. So whether you tell me now or at the pay-per-view is fine, but I get it. Tony Khan's a promoter and all promoters are carnies. So they're going to make you buy the pay-per-view to find out. That's perfectly sound fundamental wrestling booking.
So let me tell you why I don't think it's, you mentioned 4 names. Okay. You mentioned, and one was sort of in passing. You mentioned 4 names. You mentioned Gresham, Claudio, Gargano, and then you mentioned Moriarty. Let me tell you why I don't believe it's Moriarty or Gresham. The statement that he made was, we're going to be astounded by what he does in AEW, which makes me think it's somebody not with the company. And it's somebody they're bringing in. That boils it down for me to Claudio or Gargano. Also, the fact that later in the show, when they were hyping up the card for Forbidden Door, and don't worry, everybody, we'll hype it up later. We'll talk about it. Excalibur mentioned the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club. So for that reason, I don't think it's Gresham either, because Gresham's already part of something, even though the Foundation is not really a thing yet.
Yeah.
In AEW's Ring of Honor, I don't think that they would push him over to Blackpool. I feel like he's his own thing, and Gresham has gone on record in AEW / Ring of Honor saying that he wants to take on these guys. He doesn't necessarily want to join them, right? Like he didn't say anything about joining them.
That's funny because the AEW thing made me think it was Gresham because we've only seen him in ROH and not in AEW. But I understand what you're saying, and it being Excalibur to say the Blackpool Combat Club newest member thing does make me think it's either Gargano or Cesaro more. Because if JR said it, I would have honestly at this point just thought it was a mistake that he said that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly honest. Like,
I hear what you're saying about Gresham in the comment about AEW, and we've only seen him in Ring of Honor. But again, for me, like we've seen Gresham on AEW television. at the very least.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like we kind of know what he's got and what he brings to the table. So for me, that kind of boils down to two names that you mentioned, Gargano and Claudio. And I didn't initially think of Gargano. From the start, I was like, it's going to be Claudio. Like, that just seems to make sense. And for that faction, he seems like the one who fits in the most. A no nonsense, no bullshit, beat him up, kind of technical brawler. So I think it's going to be Claudio, and I think that would be an amazing reveal. Even if it's something like he's just in to do this week and maybe a little beyond, maybe he's not like officially quote unquote signed up, like fine. Even if they didn't announce that, I'd be fine with it, because I think in both of these matches he can add a lot and he will fit in with the group for Blackpool Combat Club. So that's where my money's at.
Yeah, because it being both matches, I would want it to be Cesaro. If it was just Zack Sabre Jr., I think it's really easy to forget how fucking good Johnny Gargano is, because he was constantly losing in NXT and because there was so much going on. But man, does Zack Sabre Jr. and Johnny Gargano have my attention. The only thing that would I would find to be a disappointment would be if it was like Morrison again. Like, I don't need that again. But I think they know that, like, if you're a New Japan mark, you're expecting something a little bit more of the caliber of a Gargano or a Claudio. Claudio I would pop very hard. I would be very happy.
Yeah, so we'll see how it plays out. There are, some names out there, and I think we kind of touched on the big three, right? And you threw in Moriarty, and I wouldn't hate that, but I just don't think this is... I think it's too high priority to throw Moriarty into,
That's just like a personal thing that I would like. I don't think it would be the best business decision that they could make, and I don't think it's going to be the decision they would make. I just think it would be really cool to hotshot a guy to a match like that. But I don't think that's what it's going to be.
Right. Marcos Munoz is saying, what if it's a New Japan guy? It could be. I just don't think that's what they're lining it up to be. Only
I
because
think you kind of want like a guy on one side and a guy on the other for when it's like a promotion by promotion thing. But it's possible. Anything is. So
yeah. I mean, and they set up this card tonight, with a lot of stuff where it's like names that were dangling out there, right? And we hadn't seen or heard from, and they're delivering on it. So it very well could be. So we'll see what happens. But either way, that's some big news of the night, right? We don't know who it's going to be. Danielson seems like he's going to be out a little bit longer. And he seems like he'll be okay. So
I
we'll
think
see
that's why
happens.
this took so long. Like, I think he was probably like on the cusp, because they say, I think it was initially 6 weeks, and I think this is like week 5 or something. So,
right.
But with his history, you got to make sure.
Absolutely. We did get a Moxley promo, where they were hyping up tonight's main event. So they promoted that a little bit, and Moxley also was talking about Sunday, his match against Tanahashi, because they were teaming together in the main event. So he basically said, tonight's business, Sunday's personal, and when the bell rings on Sunday, he's got no respect, for Tanahashi, but he's got no respect. Hey,
I don't get no respect.
What's the deal with airplane food? No respect. So, classic promo by Mox in the dungeon of the arena somewhere. So we'll get to that main event. The first match we got of the night was Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice, Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, versus the United Empire, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Dunkzilla Davis. So here's my initial thing for you, Kate. I hate when they give you guys who are involved in a match on the pay-per-view in a match right before the pay-per-view, right? It's been a big pet peeve of mine when I was still watching the E. I hated that shit. They're giving you all the guys in the main event in a tag match before the main event. Like, I hate that. But man, talk about sort of like whetting your appetite for the match we're going to get Sunday with Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay. The moments they were in the ring together, because again, you kind of wish they wouldn't touch, but they definitely touched tonight. It just showed you that this match where they're going to be together on Sunday has all of the upside potential you could dream of. I mean,
absolutely.
Everybody in this match was fantastic. And I think for people who maybe aren't as familiar with Aussie Open, this certainly opened your eyes to what they can do. And always great seeing Trent and Rocky Romero in the ring together. Oh, I'm sorry. Trent and Rocky Romero back in the ring together. Cutting to the end, Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice did win by pinfall with the orange punch from Cassidy on Kyle Fletcher. And post-match, Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan come down to help the stable. They square up 5-on-3 with the advantage, but FTR come down to make the save, and cooler heads prevail. Nobody touches anybody. So we're gearing up for all these matches on Sunday. So, Kate, I said my piece about this match, and I love the fact that I was wrong, and I actually love this match. Before the pay-per-view, what do you think?
So I agree with you. Normally that is not my favorite way to build to a pay-per-view either, but I think it's a little bit different when the guys are from different promotions, because I think for some people you're literally just trying to introduce the audience, right, to who Will Ospreay and Aussie Open are. I said when this match happened last week that I felt like this very well could be like the sleeper of the night, and I think tonight was a rough night for Orange Cassidy haters, because holy crap, did this match show out in a way that it had no right to. And I also like that it went from a trios match and we're getting a singles match. Like, do I wish I'd been agented to not have them touch? Maybe, but like, I would say overall it did hype me up for it more than it did detract for it. So it did its job. If you're going to be in chaos / best friends, you have to know how to deliver an awesome DDT. Apparently we saw those all over the place from Trent, from Orange. Absolutely loved it. There was a really great sequence into the, I was hoping they were going to replay it because I couldn't even catch what it was, but into that Stun Dog Millionaire or whatever Orange Cassidy calls it. Unbelievable stuff. When they did touch, Aussie Open is really, really good. I was not as familiar with them. They're fantastic. And boy, howdy, when FTR came down the ramp, did they ever get a pop? This has been one of the most organic face turns I think I've ever seen in wrestling. And so much of it is literally just because they're so good at their jobs. Like, people just want to root for these guys because they actually are living legends, and people like want to get behind FTR. It's so cool to see. I love seeing them get the pop that they're getting. Give them every belt that's ever existed. I absolutely love it. But this match was really good. And again, a lot of these 6-mans, it can kind of feel like left hand doesn't know what the right is doing a little bit, but the times we've seen these 6 in the ring together before have been like, these have been excellent matches. Like, they are all speaking the same language. Everybody had chemistry in this. They made an Aussie Open fan out of me, like, in a very, very short time. I was not that familiar with them outside of Ospreay. So this was fantastic. And Orange Cassidy, for someone who hasn't fought in months, like,
yep,
not an ounce of ring rust on that guy. He looked really, really good. So loved this. Absolutely gangbusters.
Yeah, I was actually going to follow up with that point. Was maybe it was good that we got to see Orange Cassidy tonight, because we haven't seen him in a while in the ring, right? He's been injured, so shows you that he's got everything, and he's obviously feeling good because he looked great tonight. Also, I'm going to jump back in the chat a little bit. So just a little inside baseball for you guys. With 2 of us here, sometimes it's hard to keep an eye on the chat and talk and look at notes. So I might be jumping back at stuff real quick. Mark Munoz had also said, Kate, about the possibility of an opponent for Zack Sabre Jr. He had posed, what about a Ring of Honor guy? What about Roosh? While I wouldn't be opposed to that, I think there are AAA and CMLL, contracts that are going to get in the way there, but I wouldn't hate that.
I wouldn't hate that. And it was Roosh that kind of got introduced with Andrade, right?
Yep.
As so I think they probably don't want to mix that up too much and just let that story play the way it's supposed to, because Andrade has been the victim of this like start and stop booking a lot. So that would be, I think, should exist in its own world. And I can't see him like in a blood and guts either. I feel like that doesn't always lend itself to acrobatic stuff, but I'm never mad when that guy's in the ring. He's fantastic. I was also scouring, like, I wonder if there's like an Impact guy, but I think they probably want to keep this New Japan and AEW centric.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Asian Joe also saying FTR getting that Road Warriors pop tonight. Absolutely. So
Big
they
time.
are over, and everybody knows it. And I'm with you, Kate. They deserve any belt they can get their hands on. I think that they've done their time and put in the work, and they deserve to be rewarded, and they have been, right? They were champs in AEW, they're Ring of Honor champs, they're AAA champs, maybe they have a chance at IWGP, or New Japan Tag, whatever those titles are called.
I just can't remember like the last time there was a face turn where I didn't remember the moment that somebody turned. Like it just kind of happened. Like everybody just started cheering for them. Like I don't remember a single time in wrestling that I've been watching it and it just went. Because even like Chris Statlander or whatever, there's been ones where it's like, and the crowd suddenly behind them, but it was never just like this seamless of a thing that I can remember of like, no, everybody just loves these guys and we're going to root for them now. And okay, guess they're faces. We're booking them as faces now. So
yeah, it's amazing to see that. And also Kyle K. Sparks makes a good point. For those who don't know, this is how New Japan builds in between their major shows. The Road 2 shows are always full of these multi-man tags involving opponents at the upcoming big show. So, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, obviously, too, for people who have not been exposed to New Japan talent that aren't some of the larger names, Ospreay, Tanahashi, etc., this is a good way to sort of expose them. We've had a couple people here in the chats sometimes being like, I don't know if this is really like something I'm interested in. I don't know these guys. Well, now we're getting a chance to see those guys a little bit more. So, also makes sense for them to sort of book it this way, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that AEW has done a tremendous job, in my opinion, especially considering that we were in a pandemic. Nobody really knew what it meant to be over when there's no live crowd. They have a lot of guys that they've gotten over in the right ways. And so when you're the brand that's kind of anchoring this thing and there's a literal language barrier, I think it makes so much sense to go play in their world a little bit more because you have the foundation belt and the fan base that is going to trust what you've done. You've earned that trust over the past 3 years. So I think them stepping foot into New Japan World to set up this show makes a world of sense because you're getting these guys in front of an American audience. Go homes are kind of oftentimes throwaway anyway. You're not doing anything too dramatic here, right? So other than I was like, they just need to literally solidify some of the card, and we got a lot of that shaped out tonight. So
right.
But I completely understand that makes total sense to dive into New Japan Worlds because they can. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark Will saying about Orange Cassidy, it says a lot about how much AEW values Orange Cassidy, that they give him a big IWGP US title match versus Ospreay. Yeah, I mean, you're putting in somebody against one of the biggest, kind of wrestlers in the world. I mean, Ospreay is, you say Ospreay, people know who you're talking about. I mean, I think that's one of the rare things too, Kate, in wrestling where people will say a name and even if they've never seen you, they'll know who you're talking about. Yes. To be honest, I feel like sometimes you say Tanahashi and people are like, that doesn't ring a bell.
Mind. Yeah.
But I feel like in the wrestling world, if you're talking to somebody who's into wrestling and you say Ospreay, they know who you're talking about, even if they're not familiar with his work. So yeah, it does show you what they think of Orange Cassidy because man, this is a big match,
And I think it's smart to take advantage of the fact that we talked about it last week a little bit. I felt like so much of Edge's career was built off of the fact he was always returning from injury. Like that's, in my opinion, why he was more over than Jericho for so much of his career was he was just always coming back from injury and everybody was always excited to see him taking advantage of that momentum and also taking this moment to remind people that he's not just a joke guy, right? Like he's a world-class wrestler, Orange Cassidy is. So to put him in the ring with a guy like Ospreay, and when that lineup happened, like when that matchup was made, I just felt kind of like, oh, they're gonna have great chemistry, just like based on ring style and what they're able to do. So I think it makes all the sense in the world. I love that it wasn't like Yano versus Orange Cassidy or something. Like,
right.
Let's also remind people what Orange Cassidy can do in the ring now that he is back. Like, what better way to do it than with this? This is so much fun. And let's also not forget, before his injury, like Orange Cassidy is massively over with this crowd.
Sure.
Like, he was fighting Jericho like 3 times. So I think it's a very clever call. Like the rest of this has just felt like all-star versus all-star. This, I was like, this is actually a very creative move by them.
Yeah. And it also shows you that they don't put they're not buying into the fact he's just a gimmick wrestler, right? Like, I think for so long, so many people were like, Orange Cassidy, he's just a comedy wrestler. He doesn't have the skill or the talent to really hang. No, he's fucking got all the skill and the talent to hang. Good. And maybe that is the best thing about Orange Cassidy, is he's such a sleeper that when he shows up like this, I think he generally turns heads. And that's sort of what you want, right?
Yeah, and I think like
people to be interested.
Ospreay is a really good, well, I fully believe that he has the gimmick to get under the skin of his opponent and then show what he can do. A match against Will Ospreay also lets you produce this match a little differently than you've ever produced anything for him before. That triple threat that happened, we think kind of accidentally. He was fantastic in. His tag match with Wheeler Yuta on a Rampage before he got injured was fantastic. But like, I will say, whilst I really do love Orange Cassidy, his matches can get repetitive because it is like they start with the kicks and whatever. This is a chance to do something different than he's ever done before in AEW. So I'm hoping they choose to take advantage of that. But based on what we saw tonight, I mean, how can you not be hyped for this match now? I know I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. Looking forward to it at the pay-per-view on Sunday. Moving on, we have a couple segments here. A quick one, maybe not too much to discuss here, but Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh are backstage. Dutt's very excited. He's ordered some new pencils, and he says, we're going to India. But Lethal says that, hold on, he wants to win the Ring of Honor TV title, but Joe's been absent for almost a month. So he can either tape up the shoulder and come back to work, or he can vacate that title so Lethal can take it back. Either way. So clearly, Kate, from what I was talking about before, was maybe they're pivoting. I think maybe they're pivoting here. I think maybe they've been trying to hold off on having some of these matches until like a pay-per-view or TV is sort of figured out. This is why I think they're sort of pivoting, because I think they're going to line up a match here somewhere. Maybe Blood and Guts. I think it's too close, actually. Blood and Guts is next week. But maybe within the next couple weeks, they'll line up a match, because they're not just going to rip that title off Joe after the way he was treated, I think, in the E.
No way. And I think you want to go into ROH being launched into whatever it's going to be with Samoa Joe being your champion. Like, that just makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the only reason I brought that up before, was possibly pivoting, because maybe they don't have things as set up as they thought they did. But either way, I like the way this story's going, and they're just needling Joe.
Thank you to the chat for reminding me that Quake by the Lake is also a thing. Maybe they'll do it there. Pay-per-view and special names are not AEW's greatest strength.
I mean, Road Rager, fantastic.
I have a raging clue. I also think there is you kind of have to clear this Forbidden Door hump, because this roster is not going to stick around. Like, all these stories that you're building are not going to be there. So I think that's part of it, is there's some stuff that's just kind of on the back burner now because we have to get through Forbidden Door, which I'm now understanding more and more is why it was scheduled so close to the pay-per-view, is because like you don't want to launch any new programs and then have Forbidden Door come along and disrupt it, right? So I think we'll get the payoff of that story like after the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've clearly been building to this pay-per-view, and now we're going to get past this pay-per-view. We'll have blood and guts and clearly things coming out of the pay-per-view, and sort of blood and guts. And then we're sort of, I guess, going to be on the road to All Out, right? I know that's some time away, but they have to get to All Out, or
with the
something
Battle of the
else
Belts in between, right?
Yep.
But like
Yeah.
those are usually kind of like throwaway-ish. So
yeah, they're pre-taped, which just kind of sucks, but we'll see what happens. I like that story though. I like where it's going.
Me too. Also nice to see Sanjay Dutt. Like I love Tully and Arn and stuff, but like having Sanjay and Stokely, I'm like, it is nice to have some managers that aren't old white guys.
Very
Kick it
true.
around. Infuses some new blood into the program here.
Very true. All right, Kate, we go into the segment now that is the talk of the night, at least between you and the other ladies or gentlemen who love Zaddy Christian. Tony Schiavone introduces Christian for an in-ring interview, so Christian comes out in his best GQ outfit, and he starts talking shit on the crowd. And he said he was never going to let Jungle Boy get away with eliminating him from the Casino Battle Royal last year. And it's petty, but the fan reaction to him getting eliminated turned him even harder. He did a little background check on Jack and decided against his better judgment to go on social media. And wrestling social media has become a cesspool of people telling him how to do his job. And Jungle Boy cost him a lot of money by losing out on that paycheck. So he did
pay window.
That's right. And he did research and figured he'd hitch his wagon to Jungle Boy to get the paycheck. And you think he came back to help out young generational talent? No, it's just bullshit. He came to make money, and that's really it. So if you want to earn his paycheck, try having a match that people talk about for more than a week after it happens. He says Jungle Boy has the talent, but he doesn't have the brains. And the one time he didn't give him advice or walk out with him to the match, he loses the titles. Well, the gravy train ran dry, and now he has to take control and get his hands dirty, and that pisses Christian off. They also showed footage of him yelling at Jungle Boy's mom, and his mom flips him off, and he says he's a disappointment of a son and blah, blah, blah. And Christian says that Jungle Boy's mom is really mad because she saw her knight in shining armor go off into the sunset, and she might be a little sweet on him. He says Jack might have looked at him like a father figure, but he had a father, and his father's dead and probably ashamed of him. Even early retirement at 20, he says to enjoy early retirement at 25 and to stay gone. Well, that did not sit well with the wrestling dinosaur, because Luchasaurus comes down to the ring. He starts to choke Cage, who tells him they need to talk, not in front of these losers. Christian also says, remember what happened to Marco, and says that Luchasaurus is like a son to him. He wants to talk in private. He whispers something to the dino before embracing him, and they walk off together. So Kate, some interesting turn of events here. We get the rationale behind what Christian did. It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
He held on to this for a long time, and the money dried up, and so now he turned on him. But the interesting thing here is what is happening with Luchasaurus. I mean, we kind of, I think, all saw this coming. We've been talking about this. Jungle Boy is the star. He's got to sort of disengage from the dinosaur. But I'm interested in seeing what happens with Christian and Luchasaurus, because what could he possibly say that Luchasaurus would be like, yeah, I'm going to stick with Christian?
So, I've seen different reactions to this promo, and they make sense to me because I feel like what he did was some great, very fundamental heel work in this promo. And if some people are kind of bored by things that are that basic, but I usually pop for them because I feel like a lot of things get lost. The pay window, which I called out before, like he's not going to be in a title hunt, right? So talk about the fact that you want to make money as a heel. Beautiful. Him shitting on the home crowd, the way he shit on the home crowd, I thought was very artfully done. Very well done. Little less low-hanging fruit than MJF usually goes for. I loved it. There was a lot of stuff in here that I really liked from Christian. I much prefer Christian as a heel to a face. Digging into the dead dad stuff was a lot, and I think it's the perfect heat to let Jungle Boy get his comeuppance on him. Like, there's heat for the sake of getting heat, and then there's heat like that, which has gravity to it, and Jungle Boy's not the strongest promo in the world, right? So that makes so much sense to me. The replay from last week I thought was fine. It did feel a little long, but I just really, really liked what we saw from Christian tonight. As far as Luchasaurus goes, Jungle Boy to me is a single star. Like, I've enjoyed Jurassic Express. And Luchasaurus is like not necessarily for me. Not every wrestling character is supposed to be. A lot of them are supposed to be for kids. A dinosaur that is enormous and can do what he can do in the ring. A dinosaur that size that can do a shooting star press. Like 10-year-old Kate is marking out for. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, there's a big fan of Luchasaurus in this house.
Exactly. I know. Like Luchasaurus and Rosa, right? Are his there you go. But to me, I'm much more interested in the idea of Luchasaurus getting rid of the mask, being Christian's muscle maybe in this whole thing, and breaking up this tag team. I just feel like Jungle Boy is poised to break out into something that's much bigger than this tag team has been. And I didn't really, to be honest, in the beginning, and it definitely grew on me. I was like, I don't know, Christian and Jurassic Express doesn't make a ton of sense to me. They just proved me wrong the whole time that instinct. If they want to continue this story for a couple of months, I think Christian being the dance partner for Jungle Boy with this is perfect. Like, wow. I thought I had just really great things to say about this promo, and the intrigue of where the story is going is great because Luchasaurus could stick by his friend and Christian could get his comeuppance from them, or Luchasaurus could betray Jungle Boy and Jungle Boy has the two of them to feud with for the next 4 months. I'm fine with that. Like, that rules to me. So this I thought was great. And yes, GQ Christian not only explained his heel turn, but also explained to the other ladies that weren't your wife what he's got going on. So good on him and his Banana Republic trip.
Here's the one thing I think Christian messed up on. He invoked Marco Stunt. He did, which is he did not terrifying. Think through that. Yeah.
And the only other thing I didn't like about this promo was when he was talking about the IWC and talking about how toxic and stupid people are, because that's a face move. That is 100% accurate. He's right. And that didn't feel like heel work to me.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I
wouldn't taunt Marco either, though. No, I understand what you're saying.
No. But I am interested in this storyline, especially with the Luchasaurus angle and seeing where this goes. So I like it. And, I'm going to try to hang on. Listen, I've got to beat off Tony Nese. Yes. Sure, I'm going to have to beat off Christian. Well, maybe I shouldn't say beat off.
You might have to. We'll see.
No.
We'll see how things unfold.
But
it's weird.
So anyway, I thought it was a pretty good segment. A lot of spoons in the porridge, as some people say. So
Red Velvet only has one spoon.
She only needs one.
But she's not doing porridge, I guess. She's stirring it up.
She's just stirring it up. Yeah, we don't know what it is, but she's stirring it up.
Who knows?
We do get a short segment here by the Young Bucks with Kyle O'Reilly. people have been asking if they're going to be at the Forbidden Door, and it's safe to bet that they will be, the now 2-time AEW tag champs. And O'Reilly says Sting should be locked up for what he did to him last week. And at the Forbidden Door, they've got the Bullet Club to take on Sting and his cronies. So we're going to get the Bucks back with the Bullet Club one night only. And this should be fun. So we'll run through the Forbidden Door card to remind everybody what's on deck. But we're going to get the Bucks and the Bullet Club versus Sting and a couple of their cronies.
It's Sting. I feel like you should have popped harder for Hiromu. Hiromu's great. He's one of the most fashionable wrestlers in the whole wide world.
You're talking about in our little text chat?
Yes.
Oh, I was just needling Matt.
Oh, okay, great. That's
just
a really fun thing to do. There's no better gift to yourself.
Yeah. Why do you think all my responses were like, whatever. This is going to be mid. Like I just was trying to get a rise out of Matt. Didn't work. He didn't bite. All right, Kate, we go into our AEW All Atlantic Championship Tournament match. And this is the last group to determine who's going to be in the match at Forbidden Door. Malachi Black versus Penta Oscuro. Man, what a match.
Batman. He looked like Batman.
Yeah. I mean, go back and watch this match if you didn't. We know what both these guys can do, right? But it was really fun seeing them in a singles match. Let's cut to the end here. Malachi Black wins by pinfall with the black mask, so he advances to the finals for the All-Atlantic title. Post-match, Pac comes down and immediately stares down Malachi Black. That's when Miro has a video up on the Tron, and he says he wants his God, his gold, and his gorgeous wife. But instead, he'll drag all the bastards and pagans down with him and redeem them all. And we basically go to break. So we're building to this match. If you didn't follow what was going on in New Japan, they did have their match to figure out who was going to get into the four-way. It is Tomohiro Ishii. So, boy.
That match is going to be so awesome. This match was really, really awesome. Penta's just doing incredible work lately. It's really, really fun. Extremely minor complaint, but there was a kick exchanged from Malachi Black, as there often is, and JR goes, "That was noisy." Like basically calling out a leg slap. I'm like, what are you doing? Like this man is losing it. And I liked the way that they protected, even though it didn't win the match, the Avalanche Fear Factor. Like, I figured Malachi was going over, but that feels like such a deadly move off the top ropes. It basically, like, to me, feels like it should be as protected as, like, a pile driver. And he didn't really, like, kick out of it. He very meekly threw his leg on the rope. That, to me, is something that should finish matches most of the time, because holy crap, that was nuts. But this was a good way. I was like, well, if you're not going to pin the guy off of it, this is the best way for the guy to sell what you just did to him. I thought that was fantastic. And I think it was you who pointed out too, like some of those kicks, like the black mass and stuff too, function like how the Judas effect functions for Jericho, where it's like, man, you can just hit it at any time and it's believable and it looks good. Yeah. And that's how the black mass is to me. It's like a similar kind of thing where it's just like that can just hit you out of nowhere at any point in a match and be super, super lethal. So loved this. Thought this was a really fantastic match in the ring. And buddy, that Avalanche Fear Factor is nasty.
Sick. Just a sick move. All right, we move on from this, and we do get a short video package. Wardlow's basically saying, I'm coming for that TNT championship as soon as you're healed up. So not much to talk about here. It is worth mentioning, though, that, it seems like the injury bug all over wrestling right now is biting because Scorpio is hurt right now. So I feel like Wardlow's just sort of hanging out right now because the next thing they're going to have for him is this Scorpio Sky TNT championship sort of match. And, I don't think it's a terrible thing because we got to get past the Forbidden Door right? So I think it's fine that we wait for it and let Scorpio heal up.
Just like this poor guy, how long is his reign going to be stunted? Like the Sammy feud and then the injury. I was like, of course.
I know.
Poor guy.
And then we move on to Hangman Adam Page versus Silas Young, the last real man. This was announced late, but for people who are aware of what the history holds, is Hangman and Silas do have a history in Ring of Honor, so they're aware of one another. Silas also from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so
hometown pop,
gets
baby.
that hometown pop. And Adam Cole was on commentary during this match. My favorite thing, by the way, Kate, I don't know if you noticed it, and Adam Cole sort of called attention to it, but when thank you, when Hangman came out, he came out on the ramp and he started to like sort of make his way over to commentary, and then he stopped and went down to the ring. My favorite part of that is as he was sort of like eyeing commentary, they showed the desk and like Shivani's waving him over, like, come on over. And they go back and Adam Cole's like, what the hell was that? Or like, what are you doing? Waving him over. He's like, I just wanted to say hello.
I loved, there's a conversation I know that's been circulating a lot of character versus gimmick. And that was a move of character and not gimmick, right? Like Luchasaurus is a gimmick, but a character does exactly what Adam Cole did in this situation. Eddie Kingston to me is the perfect character, right? Every ounce of what that guy does is his character. But that went off in my head today too about Cole in that situation of like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it was very funny. So anyway, getting to this match, boy, just another quality match. Silas, had a clinic out there with Hangman. Some people are saying he even stole the show in this match. And he really did show what a good wrestler he really is. If you don't know anything about Silas Young, look him up. Some really good matches in Ring of Honor in his time there. But cutting to the end of this match, just so we can talk about everything that happened here, Hangman Adam Page wins by pinfall with the buckshot lariat. And then Adam Cole rushes to cut a promo on the stage, but he gets interrupted by the Switchblade, Jay White. Somewhere Matt had a boner and he didn't even know why.
It's true.
And he says that Jay White says he's given last week a lot of thought. And he's responsible for making Forbidden Door as big as possible. And as much as he'd like to do a favor for his good friend, his opponent still can't be Adam Cole because he lost to Hangman twice.
Yeah, he did. Great storytelling.
Very good
storytelling. A lot of things that make sense.
Yeah. But Hangman knows that he and Milwaukee and the world are dying to know who the Switchblade's going to wrestle at Forbidden Door for his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Well, it's not going to be Page either, and that gets Page to slap the mic out of Jay White's hand. And they brawl, and then Cole runs down, and Hangman knocks him aside. Jay White throws Cole onto the apron. And that's when Page is able to, when Cole is able to get Adam Page in the crotch. So he's laid up. And the Switchblade beats down Adam Cole, Adam Page. A lot of Adams to keep.
A lot of Adams, a lot of Pages, a lot of cages.
Yeah. And that's when Adam Cole grabs the title and waits. But when Jay White turns around, he hesitates before hitting him with the title and asks him to pick up Adam Page. So as they're picking him up, that's when we hear the coin drop, Kate. And Okada is here. The Rainmaker makes his way to the ring, faces off with the heels, starts throwing elbows. Page gets up, throws Cole into the corner. They're brawling, and basically we're starting to break down. The Switchblade ducks ducks a Rainmaker, and so now we're just kind of left with what is going on, with this match with Jay White, and we do find out that it's going to be a 4-way match: Jay White versus Adam Cole versus Adam Page.
That was my mom's hand that you saw. Hi, Mom. Thank you.
No, it's all good.
She was bringing me Benadryl in case it storms for the dog because he'll just get anxious and pee on everything. So.
Oh.
A little hand cameo from my mom.
All good.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, I wanted to, that pretty much is the end of that segment. So Kate, I think we're all very excited at this now. I think, and this is what I was sort of saying before, was like they had sort of dangled some names out there and we hadn't seen of them or heard of them. And this was one where it was like, but what about Okada? And we hadn't really heard what his situation was for the pay-per-view. There were really no hints. I think some people thought like, hey, okay, Jay White and Okada, but then people were like, what about the AEW talent, right? Like, what are we going to do there? So this is the way you do it. I think I even said at some point, well, it'll be a 3-way, Adam Cole, Adam Page, and Jay White. But I mean, fuck, make it a 4-way.
Let's throw Okada in there. I think New Japan loves to throw titles around in really fun ways, and this was an example of that. Like, they put the title on Jay White almost, I feel like, as a red herring for this with Okada. And because Dominion is like within a 48-hour time frame, I think, of Forbidden Door, a lot of people thought, like, who knows what talent is going to be able to, with COVID protocols and whatever, like, who's going to be able to show up, but they weren't going to do something this big and not bring in some really heavy hitters. And this is like the heaviest hitter there is. I love how excited I am for all of the multi-man matches on here. I'm excited for the 4-way of the Mid-Atlantic. I'm excited about all the tag team stuff. I'm excited for this. Like, this is a blast. And this is where I was hoping they were headed with it last week and where they eventually got to. So very cool to hear the coin drop. And I also just want to say that Silas Young and Adam Page had great chemistry, I felt like, in the match itself. Like, what a really strong match. At a really good pace for Adam Page to work at. Sometimes I feel like he can work a little bit slower, which is oftentimes a good thing. But this just felt like they were just on the same page from bell to bell. This was fantastic. Really good spots in the ropes. And yeah, Silas Young just putting on an old school match for an old school man. The last real man there is, in fact.
That is right. And I was just going to say, Kate, I didn't mean to cut you off. I feel like Silas Young doesn't get enough credit for his ability. I feel like people see him and they're like, they write him off.
Yeah.
But
he's great.
He can wrestle. Really he's just solid, man. He is really a solid wrestler. All right, Kate. So here's a moment where I got to ask you a couple questions. We go backstage to the baddies.
We do.
And Jade says Red Velvet is hurt, but the show must go on. And Stoke has breaking news. He says they're looking for a new baddie. And there are some criteria here. You have to use the hashtag baddie search. You have to explain why you belong in the baddies in 140 characters or less. And ladies, please keep your photos PG. And Jade also says, Tony, cut the shit. And they go to a break, and then they come back with sort of a response, which we'll get to. But Kate, here's my question. Mm-hmm. When are you sending in your application?
After Sunny Kiss gets picked, because that's the move. I'm inactive on Twitter. I'll have to find out if I can submit to be a baddie on Instagram. But I feel like it's geographically an inconvenient location to be a baddie. They went to Newark like 5 times. I would have applied. I mean, really, if anyone should be applying to be a baddie, it's like you, Matt, Schlong, huge gap me. No,
I think you need to apply. I also, by the way, you should be happy to know that I asked Mrs. Money. I was like, hey, let's do it. Come on. And she goes, my thing would just be to just say Sunny. Like, just keep saying Sunny should be a baddie.
That's it.
And put his picture. Or her picture, excuse me.
Yeah. They use both. It's fine.
I know.
Sunny Kiss should be a baddie. Sunny Kiss should be a baddie. Sunny Kiss already is a baddie. Such a baddie. I almost said Sunny Bitch because she's
boom
a bitch. She belongs in that group. It feels like a slam dunk to me. I'm surprised they didn't take advantage of that during Pride too. Like, it just feels extremely obvious. But I think Mrs. Money would be a great baddie. But Sunny Kiss is the baddie who needs to be paired with the baddies. And I feel like you're underestimating your own inner baddie. And birthdays are a time of reflection. And I think you need to ask yourself why you're denying that. I also want to know, do feet pics count as PG pictures?
Yes, I think they do.
Okay, because like, if I could use that for a baddie application and make money, you know what I mean? If there's application fees, that could cover it. So I'm slowly coming around to the idea, you know?
Well, I think you can, and I think you can do it on Instagram. Hashtags go everywhere.
It's true.
Mark Quill's asking, am I trying to get Kate back on Twitter? Not gonna lie, Mark Quill, I didn't know Kate was off Twitter because I'm pretty much off Twitter. So.
Wise man.
So anyway, we come back from the commercial and Chris Stat and Athena are being interviewed and they respond to all this. They talk about the idea of trying out for the baddies, but they're not going to back down. It doesn't matter how many women they have to fight. So go ahead and search. They've got the babe with the power, and I couldn't agree more. Willow Nightingale.
We love Willow so much.
And that Jade should cut the shit, not Tony.
You know what? It's about time that somebody stood up for Tony Schiavone at this company.
Seriously, poor Tony, just trying to do his job.
He's like, let me ask you a question. And someone's like, Tony, you're an asshole. Like, let's calm down. Let the man speak.
You know, that also reminds me, we didn't mention it in Christian's thing, but Christian was like, hey, hold the mic up here, boss. And then also said, if you cut me off again, I'm going to rip that earring out of your ear.
So
poor
rude.
Tony.
I do appreciate that Stokely steps directly in front of him.
Yes.
Whenever they have a segment, that pops me huge.
Just a ton of fun.
So much fun. Loved the response of Athena, like being all like sexy and funny and baddie. That was a blast with Kristen.
It was perfect too that it came right after. Like,
yes, it was like a response.
Yes, it was perfect.
And
all right, Kate. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Both women's titles addressed on Dynamite in one show. Who would have thought?
My goodness. And sort of right after one another, because we go right into Marina Shafir versus Toni Storm. You know, obviously, Marina had her match last week with Thunder Rosa. A lot of talk about sandbagging, but most importantly here, Toni Storm came down and made the save on Thunder Rosa after she was getting beat down by Marina Shafir. So this is what sets up the match for tonight. And Shafir has Nyla Rose in her corner because they've sort of formed this little tag team and sort of little faction. So Storm at times was dealing with, two heels, but Storm does win by pinfall with a bridging folding press. I think that's the technical term.
It was really, really cool finish to the match. I thought I loved it.
Yeah, she sort of snuck a win in, but it was a great way to get that pin. And then post-match, Nyla Rose does attack and puts the boots to Toni. Marina joined in, and Nyla Rose continued to cheer her on. And that's when Rosa comes to make the save. Toni Storm is able to pick up Thunder Rosa's title and beat off Nyla Rose, which sort of results in a I know I did it again. And that results in sort of a little stare down where Toni hands the title back. They square up a little bit. And now we're sort of leading into that match at the Forbidden Door. So, Kate, what do you think about the match? And sort of the lead into Toni Storm Luchasaurus, Thunder Rosa.
A lot of face paint and masks on the show. Yes. I thought this was the best Marina has looked, though I still feel like she has a ways to go. I think in like 6 to 8 months, Marina Shafir is going to be scary. I think she's going to be really, really good. I love her style. There's just a lack of fluidity and experience that I think more reps and she's going to feel like a really, really badass killer. Toni Storm has looked great. And because I'm uber critical of the women's division, I also want to give flowers and when things are going right. One thing they're doing really well is the way they've introduced Toni Storm, they learned from their mistake with Ruby Soho, I think. She hasn't just been like there for the pop and then pushed aside and worked in as needed. Like Toni has felt protected and important the whole time that she's been there, to the point where she's already getting a title shot, which it doesn't feel like hot shotting for whatever reason. It feels like she's had a lot of wins. She's had some important wins and she has worked her way up. I feel like she's looked fantastic in the ring. So that's really, really encouraging to see. I think her versus Thunder Rosa will be a great match. Rosa versus Serena was a great match. So we're getting higher quality matches. This one has a little bit better of a build to go along with that, which is a nice symptom to see. And then in the other title picture, we're getting long-term storytelling, which we talked about before, right? With the baddies and Athena and Kristen Highlander and all of this. So, and we're getting Willow on screen. So this is really, really nice. I am encouraged to see that. I'm encouraged to see there's at least some movement with some tag teams. Like there's more women in the mix. I liked Nyla here. I thought I really want Nyla to turn face, because if you see her personality on social, it's very easy to fall in love with her. But this works. Like her and Marina works. You have like the smaller badass, and then you have muscle behind her. Her interference in this match was minimal but impactful and didn't interfere with the outcome, which I really liked. This was positive movement in the women's division from where I'm sitting, and we got Willow on TV on Friday. I feel like this has been a good week for women's wrestling in AEW. I'll absolutely take this, and a good way to advance the story. They're really good about using matches that we don't get rematch city on AEW, which is really refreshing. They use other matches to propel stories forward, which is refreshing. So good shit here. I'm very much looking forward to Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. I think Toni's look great.
Yeah, I think that has a lot of potential to be a great match. I'm with you. Marina is still just a little too green to me. She looks a little stiff. Not the way she works. She just looks like she moves around a little stiff. And she's not as fluid.
Like fluid, yeah. It's like not sequenced together. Like she can execute moves, but nothing feels like it's like she's got a lot of words and not a sentence yet in her wrestling.
Yeah, it just seems like she doesn't chain stuff together well, right? Like it seems like she has good ideas, she can pull off the moves, and then she sort of like has to take a second to think like, wait a minute, how do I get to the next spot?
Yes.
So I think it'll clear itself up and she has a lot of upside, but right now she's still not really for me. I get it, but we'll see. I do agree the Nyla Rose pairing is probably good for her. But they got to start giving these girls some wins, or these ladies, some wins when they're doing that stuff.
Agreed.
All right. So we do get a promo from Darby Allin backstage with Sting, calling Kyle O'Reilly a liar, and that they have two friends to even the odds. And that's Shingo Takagi and Hiromu Takahashi. Sting says they're going to keep kicking bodies down the hill until nobody's left. And then they also noted that Friday night we're going to get Rey Fenix versus Andrade on Rampage. So,
holy shit, am I excited for that match?
Yeah, it's going to be a good week of wrestling, it seems like, for AEW. A lot of things on paper that look really nice.
Yeah, that Rampage card looks stacked. I think it feels like they were like, all right, well, you're not going to let your CMLL talent compete at Forbidden Door. We're going to put them on Rampage. They're going to burn down the house.
Right. So. Yeah, totally.
I'll take it.
So, Kate, it's now time for the main event. And we get Chris Jericho and Lance Archer versus Hiroshi Tanahashi and Jon Moxley. Let's cut straight to the end, Kate, just so we can talk about some of the post-match stuff. Tanahashi and Moxley win by pinfall with a high fly flow from Tanahashi on Lance Archer. And post-match, Kingston comes down to put the attack on Jericho. Sammy Guevara joins in to overwhelm Kingston. Wheeler Yuta comes to make the save. The brawl continues while Moxley and Tanahashi are in the ring staring each other down. Eventually, Suzuki comes out because he's here, and he comes down to the ramp, beats up Wheeler Yuta. And then Shota Umino comes down as well. 2.0 join in. Referees start to come down, but it's chaos. But Mox is staring the ace down in the ring the whole time. And that's how we end the show. So, Kate, what do you think about this match and the post-match here?
Sometimes there's like too much of a good thing. It felt like some really fun spots of the match, some parts that this felt really overcrowded. I've accepted that the go home shot of every AEW special or pay-per-view is going to be a melee of some sort with a ton of people and gang wars. It was a little much for me. Part of this match felt really clunky, but the good stuff felt great, and I'm very excited to see Tanahashi and Jon Moxley. Like, I think that's going to be wonderful. I thought the storytelling with the two of them has been great. Mox has just never looked better. Really, really liked that. Just felt a little smushed together at parts, but I think the singles match is going to be great. And did they spill the entire backstage to come out after? Yes. Not my favorite thing, but the shenanigans always at least make sense, which is all I ask.
Yeah, and also we have to remember too, and this literally just hit me, we have to remember too that they're also trying to lead us to Blood and Guts next week, right? So that's why this melee sort of makes sense when you break everything down, because it's essentially the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club and some other people like mixed in the fray. So I think they did a pretty good job of everything here leading into the pay-per-view with Moxley and Tanahashi staring each other down, and then also just gearing up for Blood and Guts next Wednesday. So I didn't have a problem with too much of this. I'm with you though. Sometimes there was that clunkiness to this match. Could be a little bit of a clash of style or a language barrier there. But for the most part, I think this worked. So it was a nice way to go home to the pay-per-view because you left your main event, participants standing in the ring at the end. So didn't hate it. So what a fun Dynamite leading into Forbidden Door on Sunday. And let's run down the full card that we have it at the moment. And of course, knowing that things can change as we get to the weekend. But we're going to get Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page versus Okada versus Cole for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We'll get Moxley versus Tanahashi for the interim AEW World Championship. Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy for the IWGP United States title. Rosa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. FTR, Jeff Cobb, and Great Khan and Roppongi Vice will meet for the winner take all match for the Ring of Honor and IWGP tag titles. Pac versus Miro versus Malachi Black versus Tomohiro Ishii for the All Atlantic. For the Atlantic Championship. Zack Sabre Jr. versus the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club. We'll find out who that is. We'll get Eddie Kingston, Shota Umino, and Wheeler Yuta versus Jericho Suzuki and Sammy Guevara. What is being called the Dudes with Attitudes: Sting, Darby Allin, Hiromu Takahashi, and Shingo Takagi versus the Bullet Club, which will be the Young Bucks, El Phantasmo, and Hikuleo. And in the buy-in, the Gun Club and Max Caster versus New Japan Dojo team of the DKC, Kevin Knight, Alex Coughlin, and Yuya Uemura on the buy-in pre-show. So a pretty stacked up card, Kate. Looking good.
And you're going to be there.
I will be there. We're going to plug that in a couple minutes. Let's just touch on a couple things, Kate, and then we'll wrap this up. We were speculating last week, like many people, who the replacement was going to be for Jeff Hardy in the the AAA Triple Mania pay-per-view, and it wound up being, I think, Johnny Hardy. So
I think that's hilarious. Like, fantastic. That's the perfect move. Well played.
Yeah, just fantastic. So we had that go on for us. Not really too much to discuss there. It's also worth noting that Slammiversary happened last weekend, and since it was sort of a special evening, there were a lot of guest appearances. I know that Sting Sting appeared, in a package, Kurt Angle and some others. So, Impact sort of had a lot of the talent who spent some time there giving some video packages, almost like what
AJ
Ring of Honor did.
Styles. Yeah, even
AJ Styles. Yes, you're right. Yep.
Very good. That's very cool. Very cool they let him do that.
Very cool. Okay. The last thing I have, Kate, and I kind of love this, is that there's been a lot of talk apparently about size in AEW, specifically with Adam Cole. And it looks like Booker T on the Hall of Fame podcast was talking about size. And he said if Adam Cole has to have surgery or he's down for 6-9 months and he loses any more muscle, it's going to be hard on this. He said it's going to be hard on this brother. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he's about $160. We got to get more weight on Adam Cole. You know what I mean? That's the problem. He's light, bottom light. And we got to get some muscle on this kid. He says that's probably one of the reasons why he isn't going out there, because getting hurt, because it can't be the schedule at AEW. So a lot of people reacted to that and spoke about body shaming, but the best might have been Hangman Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page responded saying, I just hope that when I'm old and retired, I don't lower myself to some shit-ass podcast where I trash the younger generation that's just chasing the same fortune wrestling has afforded me. Just love to call it out, Hangman Adam Page, saying, stop doing these shit-ass podcasts.
I also loved that he was like, anyway, Dynamite at 8:00.
Yes.
Shortly after. Eddie Kingston had tweeted something, and I know I'm a mark for him, but he had some really good stuff about it as well. And I just wanted to pull that up too a little bit. He said, my whole career I've been hearing it. And look, you have to work out to be a pro wrestler. Kingston said, you have to do cardio. Cardio is the main thing. You hear it your whole life. You got to look the part and all that. There was a shift, where you had to be a muscle guy, and the shift in this business when you had to do so much, people get sick of it. And then, you have to do different things. I grew up on guys that looked tough. There were some muscle guys, but there were also guys like Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes and those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I loved him calling all of that out. And I was like actually thinking about that in terms of my favorite wrestlers being Eddie Kingston and CM Punk and Kevin Owens, and how none of my favorite guys, and I'm a Dolph Ziggler mark, but other than that, like, none of my guys have been body guys. But as far as Adam Cole goes, it's just so stupid and such a manufactured conversation, because nobody said this shit when he was in NXT. Not a single one. No. And now he's probably working more than ever with guys that are closer to his size, like even than we're in NXT. So it's just a bunch of trash.
I just thought it was fun that he said shit-ass podcasts.
Shit-ass podcasts. And my actual favorite thing about that was, like, people thought it was a shot at Cornette. And I was like, not even close, but also him.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man, excuse me.
Old now. You're so
I'm
tired.
old and getting tired. Kate, that was all the real news I had. I think we're leading into the pay-per-view pretty nicely. It was a fun episode of Dynamite. You have anything else that came up in news and notes that you'd like to discuss? And if not, we can pull this train into the station.
I don't think so, man. Pull it right along into the station.
Well then, Kate, let's wrap it up here. Why don't you tell the people where you are and how they can find you?
Sure. You can find me at Katestagrams on Instagram, Miss Kate Fabe on the TikTok. But as far as the podcast circuit goes, I'll be doing Tuesday NXT post show. I don't know what the fuck that turned into, but it's more of a variety show at this point because nobody wants to talk about NXT. On Fightful YouTube every Tuesday. Here every Wednesday that I can be, and AEW Rampage and SmackDown post show every Friday. So that'll be this Friday, as well as I'll be doing a Forbidden Door post show on Fightful Select. So we do the paywall pay-per-view post show. You're more than welcome to join Alex and I for that. should be fun. It's nice to actually get to talk about a product I like on Fightful on occasion like this.
Oh, you want me to join that post show? I'm more than happy to.
You're going to be there, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. You said you could join us. I was like, oh, okay, I'll join you guys. Sure. Why not?
Maybe I should.
No.
Pitch to have our live correspondent.
I'll be live on the ground like I was during the pandemic for
That's
this
right.
podcast.
Those flights, risking your life for us.
I got to do what I got to do to get the scoop. You know what I'm saying?
Scoop skis.
Well, Ryan is not here, but you can catch Ryan at Mark Order Pod Mondays and Tuesdays, tweeting along live with Dark Elevation and Dark.
Tweeting
and also,
from his home.
That's right. Tweeting from his home, maybe on his phone, maybe having a Coke or a hoagie with some provolone.
You have a really good South
He also might have his water ice.
Oh, gotta have that water ice.
Got a water ice. Maybe cherry, maybe lemon water ice. I don't know. We'll see. So catch Ryan at Mark Order Pod. He's pretty much running the Twitter Mondays and Tuesdays during the show, and he's on there all the time. So feel free to jump into the conversation. Don't be a prick, or else that's gonna get you blocked. Matt, who is not here tonight, but sometimes is able to join in. It's his summer schedule. Let's be honest. But he is normally on the B show of the Shining Wizards Network. That would be the Shining Wizards podcast. Monday nights at 7:00. They have a ton of guests. They talk. You know what? It's wrestling talk and talk about wrestling. So be sure to tune in. Try to support those guys. You know, there's a little engine that could of the network. So
also the Bread Club on the Fightful Overbooked too. If you aren't up on your New Japan, he and a guy named Kieran, who is fantastic, are on Fightful Overbooked doing a bi-weekly New Japan show, which is very good especially if you don't follow along. I don't follow New Japan that closely of late, so check that out heading into Forbidden Door. That'll actually be helpful in getting you up to speed on stuff.
For sure. And as far as Forbidden Door goes, we've said it. I'm going to be trekking out there this weekend. We'll have a few people in tow. Danny Magic, Tall J.
And stickers with you.
I am going to have stickers. So if you're around, be sure to follow us on social. I'm more active on like Instagram. So we'll snap pictures of where we are and what we're doing. And if you're around the area and you feel like you want a sticker or two, be sure to catch up with us. We'll have some stickers.
Peer pressure to applying for baddies.
Sure.
On Instagram.
Why not? But we'll have our stickers. A few of the other marks in the Mark Order will be out there as well. So we'll try to meet up with them. But stick with us on Instagram, even Twitter. We'll try to put some TikTok content up as well. When we're traveling, we try to do that stuff a little more often. So stay tuned to those at Mark Order Pod on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Again, if you're not around where we're going to be, you can get free stickers if you hit that link tree in all our socials. Give us your name, your mailing address, and the country that we're sending it to, and we will be sure to send those out for free. You don't have to worry about anything. Just tell me where to send them, and I'll send them. The other thing too is thanks to everybody watching on YouTube tonight. Always fun to have the normal suspects in the chat, the Mark Quills, the Asian Joes, the Rob Humphreys, the Kyle K. Sparks, Marcos, and any others I forgot. I apologize. It's been a lot of chatter going on. We see you guys talking up in the chat with each other, which is always fun too. So thank you guys for participating. If you are listening in podcast form, we truly do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Try watching us sometime. It doesn't have to be live. You can head over to our YouTube and all the videos live there.
And leave a thumbs up.
Yeah, leave us a thumbs up on the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. And if you're listening in podcast form, if you, wherever you're listening, subscribe, rate, review, anything like that you can do to help us out. Believe it or not, it does help us in the algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So if you could do that, we appreciate your support. Those little things, believe it or not, do help us a ton. And as we kind of said earlier, we do have some things in the pipeline that are coming. I promise you, they are coming. We will have t-shirts coming very soon. So stay tuned for news on that. We'll make sure that all goes in the link tree as well, and we'll blast it out on social when they become available. So stay tuned. We're working on some other stuff. I know we say it every week, but we're trying to expand things and get more stuff going on and give you guys additional content. So just stick with us. We appreciate your support. And thank you, everybody, here in the chat for the birthday wishes. Appreciate it. Not looking for it, but I do appreciate it.
Stop fishing.
I'm not fishing. Well, guys, Kate, I should say. Kate, always fun to be on talking wrestling and AEW with all the crew, but very nice to have the pillars of the Mark Order podcast. To get a show done.
And a privilege, sir.
Get a show done and to give the best takes out of everybody. It's not just, I love this and I really enjoy this and blah, blah, blah.
Or come on, fucking hand jobs.
That's right. Goddamn hand job. So Kate, a lot of fun. Thanks for joining tonight. And we will be back next Wednesday to talk about Forbidden Door, to talk about my trip.
Creep closer to our 69th episode.
Sexy 69.
That's right.
In just a few weeks. So, but tune in next week. We'll talk about Forbidden Door. I'm sure I'll have some road trip stories. And also Blood and Guts. Next Wednesday, Blood and Guts on Dynamite. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to cover. Kate?
Goodbye and good night.
Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next week.
This concludes the Mark Order podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.